David Stewart here. Thought I'd do a little Monday morning video talking about what to look for in your first guitar, how to purchase your first guitar. So, a couple of things. The first one is buy a cheap guitar. Cheapness is the first thing that you should look for. Look to spend between $100 and $200. Try not to spend more than $200, but $100 to $200 is where most of the sort of beginning guitar packages are going to fall. And the reason I say to buy cheap is that I'm presuming if you're buying your first guitar, that you don't know how to play guitar. And since you don't know how to play guitar, you don't quite have the capacity to understand whether you're buying a quality instrument when you're spending more money than that. If you're buying a $500 guitar, you won't really know whether you're getting your money's worth for that $500 guitar. Likewise, your ears won't be developed to hear what you want to hear, and you won't have developed yet a sense of what sort of features you want on a guitar and how you want a guitar to feel in general. So buy a cheap guitar for your first guitar. Most stores are going to have like a $100 to $200 entry-level guitar that'll come with a case and some other accessories. The thing I would caution about when you're buying a cheap guitar is Craigslist, although I'm a big fan of Craigslist for buying lots of cheap things. If you're buying your first guitar, a lot of the things you'll find on Craigslist are really, really much lower quality than what you would normally buy. They may also be broken, and you won't be able to tell whether it's fixable or what work you sort of need to do in order to get that guitar to work for you. So Craigslist, I would caution if you've never bought a guitar before. If you've bought guitars before, Craigslist is a great place to go searching for those instruments. The only sort of cheap guitar I would say avoid would be things sold at like swap meets or on the streets of Mexico. Stuff that's really, really low quality. At least you want it to be of somewhat decent build. And for the most part, you're going to find those at retail outlets. Even Costco sells guitars. The second thing is don't worry about name brands. A lot of people, even when they haven't played guitar, know of some of the big brands like Fender, Gibson, Ibanez, those sorts of brands, and they're wanting to buy one of those for their first guitar. So they might buy an Epiphone or Squier or like a cheap Ibanez. But what you should know is most of those guitars are made in a very select few factories overseas in China and Indonesia and Korea by companies like Samick and Cort. Regardless of whatever name it may say on them, chances are Samick made it in China. And if you buy an off-brand guitar, there's a good chance it was made right next door to a Fender guitar or something else, maybe on the same line. Could be pretty much the same exact guitar. So don't worry about buying a name brand. In the $100 to $200 price range, you are not getting much in the way of that brand anyway. When you're buying a second, third guitar, buying a Fender or a Gibson is a good way to determine sort of brand quality, but not for your first guitar. The third thing is you should purchase a guitar that is in the area of focus that you wish to study. So if you are looking to play electric guitar, buy an electric guitar. Don't buy a classical or an acoustic guitar and want to transfer the skills later. Likewise, if you're buying a guitar for your son or daughter as a present, maybe for Christmas or birthday or something like that, do not buy a guitar that they're not going to want to play. Don't buy them a classical guitar hoping that they'll like classical guitar when they really want to play electric guitar. They're going to have the most passion and the most success playing the guitar in the area that they're passionate about. And as a student, don't make the same mistake if you're an adult and buy a guitar, say a classical guitar, and say, well, I'll learn the classical foundation and then I'll pick up all of the electric skills. If you want to play electric guitar, buy an electric guitar, learn on that. You're going to make yourself practice a lot more and you're going to have a lot more fun doing it. The fourth thing is if you're going to buy a guitar at a store or anywhere and you don't play, take someone with you who already plays. You might have a friend that plays, a family member. Take them with you and let them hear the guitars, let them play the guitars so you can judge yourself whether you like the sound of it. They can tell you if it feels good, the action is set up correctly. So you have a basic level of quality assurance when you bring someone with you who knows about guitars. And that brings me to point number 5, which is don't really trust salesmen. If you're buying at a retail outlet, Guitar Center, or anywhere else, the job of a salesman is to sell you something, not to sell you something that's good necessarily. And the job of a salesman is to sell you the most stuff, not necessarily what you need. What you need to start playing classical guitar is a classical guitar. You can buy a case to put that classical guitar in, but you really don't need much else besides that. You can buy a footstool. You don't really need a peg winder. You don't need straps. You don't need that sort of stuff. Buy like the minimum amount. A beginning package might have a lot of that stuff, but don't let a salesman upsell you on guitar. Say, well, look at this $500 guitar. Like I said, you won't be able to determine the quality of that guitar, nor will you be able to determine whether it has the feel or the set of features that you're looking for once you develop your style as a guitarist. Okay, and that brings me to my last point, which is about amplifiers. When you're buying a guitar, an electric guitar, try not to spend more than $50 on an amplifier if possible. Most of the packages will have an amplifier with them, and it'll be a very low quality, quiet amp, and that's fine. You want to be able to hear yourself what you're playing. I don't recommend a lot of students practice with a lot of distortion, even if they're interested in metal for the first couple weeks or months. And then once you get used to the guitar and the amp, you'll know sort of what you want to buy in your next guitar and your next amp. So, to go over those points really quickly. Number one, buy a cheap guitar. $100 to $200 is probably what you're going to want to look for. With an amp, don't spend more than $50 if possible. Number two, don't worry about brand names. They're all made in the same place. If an off-brand can save you a couple bucks, go ahead and buy it. All right. Number three, buy the guitar in the area that you wish to study. Do not buy a guitar like a classical guitar when you want to play electric guitar. Buy the guitar that you want to play. Number four, take someone with you who already plays to help you to judge quality, even of a $200 instrument. Number five, don't ever trust salesmen. Their job is to sell you the most stuff. Go in knowing exactly what you want and then have the salesman sell it to you. All right? So, that's all I have to say about that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you're having a great Monday.